Welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to be my March TBR video. I have a little bit of a confession. It has been quite a while since I filmed and uploaded a video, and that is because life has just been really busy. I've been really busy at work and I've not been necessarily finishing on time. Quite often I've been working later, and that just means by the time I get home, I've not had time to sit and edit or sit and film a video. And my weekends, I'm just kind of relaxing and chilling. Rather than like sitting down and filming and editing things. So it has been a little bit since I filmed anything. I have still been reading though, so it's not like I've not been reading, it's just that I haven't had the time to like sit down and talk about it. So I am going to be doing my March TBR video, and I hope that I will stick to my March TBR. I did complete my February TBR, so I'll just recap the books that I read for February's TBR. If you are new to my TBR videos, I pick out 4 things from my TBR jar each month, and that can be a combination of like set titles that I need to read or reading prompts, and then I usually like pick a few different options and then commit to reading at least one from that option. So these are the 4 books that I picked, and as I say, I did complete my February TBR, so I'm very happy about that. So 3 of the books that I pulled out of my TBR jar for February were kind of set title books that I had to read, and then I picked out 1 reading prompt. So the reading prompt I picked out was dark romance, and the one that I ended up reading for that was Promises and Pomegranates by Sav R. Miller. I actually really enjoyed this one. I gave this one 4 stars, and I will be keeping this one on my shelf. And then I read Under Lock and Key by Lena Ferguson. Again, this was, as I say, a set title book that I had to read, and this is the Afterlight Special Edition book. And I liked this one and gave this one 4 stars too, and this one is going to be staying on my shelf. Then I have Chasing Perfect by Susan Mallory. This one's like a small town romance. I gave this one 3 stars. It was okay, but nothing super special, and this one I won't be keeping hold of. And then the last one was Deep River Promise by Jackie Ashenden. And this again was another small town romance, and again this one I gave 3 stars to, and this one also won't be staying on my shelf. I do really love the cover for this though. So normally like old me would have kind of convinced myself to keep this, but I'm trying to get better. Oh, dropped it. Trying to get better at keeping books that I only give like 4+ stars to, and not just keeping books on my shelf because they have pretty covers. I'm not perfect at that, but I am trying to get better at it. So this one is also going to be leaving my shelf. I am going to be doing a February wrap up, so you will see my full thoughts coming up in that video. Now on to my little jar. I'm going to pick out 4 reading prompts. I am happy with doing 4 at the moment. We're only 2 months in and I've stuck to my TBR so far, but this time last year was kind of around the time when I kind of went off the bandwagon with doing TBR, so I want to kind of keep the momentum running at the moment, so I'll stick to 4 for now. As I say, in the future I may increase this, but I think 4 right now is a good number for me. So I've got 4 here, so let's see what we are going to be doing for March. So let's see. So we've got Weather Girl, so that is a set title. And as always, I'll go and get the books after I've looked at all the reading prompts. Then we have Charlie, Love and Cliches, which again is another set title. That's by Ella Mace. Are these all going to be set titles? Oh no, we've got a historical romance, so I definitely have plenty of options for that, so I'll have a look through my shelves and see what I'm going to read. And then the last one is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. So that is a set book again. So we've got 3 set books and 1 reading prompt. So I'm going to go and gather the books and then I will be back. Right, so I'm back here with the books that I'm going to be reading for March. So the first one is Charlie, Love and Cliches by Ella Mace. This one I'm going to read the synopsis for. So it says, Charlie might work at her dad's company, but that doesn't make her life easy. She's the kind of person who always goes the extra mile for a client, remembers colleagues' birthdays and arranges the cake, and yet her dad still favours her sister. So Charlie shouldn't be surprised when her dad brings someone in to manage her and the team. But what does surprise her is that the new boss is her guy, the man who she went out with years ago and could never stop thinking about. Charlie wants to hide under the desk, but then she realised she doesn't have to because William doesn't seem to remember her at all. So interested to check this one out. It sounds like it's going to be some sort of like second chance romance. I've read from Ella Mace before and I've enjoyed some of the things I've read from her in the past. This one has been on my shelf for a little while. When did this one come out actually? 2023, so this one's been on my shelf for a while, so it'll be good to get to this and obviously see if I like it. Then we have Weather Girl by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This one again has also been on my shelf for a really long time, that's why it's in the TBR jar. This one came out in 2022 and I've probably had it for nearly that long as well. So this one is Ari Abrams loves working as a TV meteorologist, but unfortunately her boss is so busy fighting with her ex, who happens to be the station's news director, that there's always a storm brewing inside the newsroom. After a particularly explosive showdown, Ari and shy sports reporter Russell hatch a plan to get their bosses back together fast. As they work to help the sparring exes fall back in love, Ari finds herself telling Russell things that she has always kept hidden and soon realises there's more to her quiet colleague than meets the eye. It seems like love might have been in front of Ari all along, but will Russell be able to embrace her dark clouds as well as her clear skies? So sounds like it could be fun. Two workplace romances. It sounds like these are both take place in the workplace, so I'm definitely interested to check these out. I have read from Rachel Lynn Solomon before, I think. Maybe I haven't actually. I'm trying to think. I definitely have some of her books, but I don't think I've actually read any of hers, so I'll be interested to check hers out. Then we've got The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I have read quite a few Kristen Hanna books, but not this one. And this is one of her probably most popular and most beloved book. It's one from a while ago. It's from 2015. I haven't had this book that as long as that, but I have had it for a while. So this one is a story about what it's like to be a woman during the war, when women's stories are all too often forgotten or overlooked. The Nightingale tells the story of two sisters separated by years and experience, by ideals, passion and circumstance, each embarking on her own dangerous path towards survival, love and freedom in war-torn France. It is a heartbreakingly beautiful novel that celebrates the resilience of the human spirit and the durability of women. It is a novel for everyone, a novel for a lifetime. So looking forward to diving into this one. I do really like Kristen Hanna's writing. She definitely does write more emotional stories, so I'm definitely looking forward to picking this one up and hopefully I will enjoy it. And then for historical romance, like I have so many options that I could have pulled for this. I have tons and tons on my shelf that I haven't read yet, but I've picked out 4 different options of like potential picks. Now, as with any of them, where I have a set like reading prompt, I like to pull out different options because I do like to mood read. So that's what I don't always love about TBRs, is I find they can be quite restrictive because you're like tied into reading these books. So I like to pick out different options for reading prompts, and then even if I don't necessarily pick one of these 4, I mean hopefully I will pick one of these 4, but if I didn't pick one of these 4 and pick something else, like historical romance is so broad like that, it could be anything really off my shelf as long as it's historical, and I have, as I say, quite a few options. So I've picked out 4 here. So I've picked out Angel by Johanna Lindsey. The reason I've put this one on here is because it's one that I have recently hauled, so it would be good to actually read something that I've bought fairly recently. More often than not I buy something and then it goes onto my shelf and I don't read it for years and years, so this would be a good option because it's one that I obviously have bought in quite recently to check out. Then I have Tempt Me at Twilight by Lisa Kleypas. Last year I started reading this series. This is book 3 in the Hathaway series, and I obviously only got as far as book 2 and then I stopped picking them up, and I don't know why, because I do really like Lisa Kleypas's books. I do really enjoy her writing, so this is a strong contender. Oh, I forgot to read the synopsis for Angel, but I'll skip back to Angel. Let's finish talking about this one first. So this one is part of the Hathaway series, which follows a family, and this one is Poppy's book. And it says, Poppy Hathaway loves her unconventional family, though she longs for normalcy. Then fate leads to a meeting with Harry Rutledge, an enigmatic hotel owner and inventor with wealth, power, and a dangerous hidden life. When their flirtation compromises her own reputation, Poppy shocks everyone by accepting his proposal, only to find that her new husband offers his passion but not his trust. Harry was willing to do anything to win Poppy, except to open his heart. All his life he has held the world at arm's length, but the sharp, beguiling Poppy demands to be his wife in every way that matters. Still, as desire grows between them, an enemy lurks in the shadows. Now Harry wants to keep Poppy by his side. He must forge a true union of body and soul once and for all. So, looking forward to maybe picking up that one. Let's go back to Angel, and I'll just read the synopsis for this one. It says, he was called Angel, a ruggedly handsome hired gun with eyes as black as sin. She was Cassie Stewart, a dark-haired beauty whose inheritance was a Texas ranch at the centre of a long and bitter feud. And when she hired Angel to protect the ranch and herself, she thought she was taking on a peacemaker, but ended up with a widowmaker instead. Unwanted and unwelcomed by his ungrateful employer, Angel would just as soon have left Cassie to fend for herself, but for a stubborn sense of duty and a desire to taste the sweetness of her kiss, he became determined to make Cassie want him and come hell or high water, not for his gun alone. So, sounds interesting. It's obviously set in America. I don't typically read a ton of historical romance set in America. Most of the ones I pick up are typically set in the UK, so that would be a nice change. Then we have The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics. This one has been on my TBR for a while. This one is a sapphic historical romance, which we don't see a ton of. And this says, as Lucy Mulcahy watches her ex-lover's sham of a wedding, she wishes herself anywhere else. It isn't until she finds a letter from the Countess of Moth looking for someone to translate a groundbreaking French astronomy text that she knows where to go. Showing up at the Countess's London home, she hoped to find a challenge, not a woman who takes her breath away. Catherine St. Day looks forward to a quiet widowhood once her late husband's scientific legacy is fulfilled. She expected to hand off the translation and wash her hands of the project. Instead, she is intrigued by the young woman who turns up at her door begging to be allowed to do the work, and she agrees to let Lucy stay. But as Catherine finds herself longing for Lucy, everything she believes about herself and her life is tested. While Lucy spends her days interpreting the complicated French text, she spends her nights falling in love with the alluring Catherine, but sabotage and old wounds threaten to sever the threads that bind them. Can Lucy and Catherine find the strength to stay together, or are they doomed to be star-crossed lovers? So, sounds really good. This one's, I think, one of the shorter ones, so this could be a good option. And then the last one I've picked as a potential is The Other Miss Bridgerton by Julia Quinn. I recently reread book 3 in the Bridgerton series, obviously to watch in preparation to watch the latest series, and I need to catch up on this series. This is the Roxby's series, I think it is. And this is book 3, and I really enjoy Julia Quinn's writing. I think pretty much all of her audiobooks are narrated by Rosalind Lander, who I absolutely love as an audiobook narrator for historical romances. And I will just read you the synopsis for this one. This one is about Poppy Bridgerton. So another Poppy character. So it says, Poppy Bridgerton may be fiercely independent and adventurous, but even she is not prepared to be kidnapped by pirates from the Dorset coast. Despite his reputation as a rascal and reckless privateer, Captain Andrew James Roxby is stunned to find Poppy tied up and waiting for him in his cabin. Poppy has no idea that Andrew is actually the son of an earl, but when he learns that she is a Bridgerton, he knows he will likely have to wed her to avert a scandal. On the high seas, their war of words soon gives way to an intoxicating passion, but when Andrew's secrets are revealed, will his declaration of love be enough to capture her heart? So, sounds really good. I'm really looking forward to picking up this one. I do want to kind of make my way through Julia Quinn's backlist. I have read quite a few of her books. I've read, obviously, the entirety of the Bridgerton series, and then I've read the 2 Dukes of Wyndham and the Agents of the Crown series in full, and I think I've read like 1 or 2 books from the Smith Smythe Quartet. Obviously this one the first 2 books in the Roxby series, and then I think I've read one from the Blyden family as well, but I've still got quite a lot of her backlist to catch up on, and I feel like I'm really in a historical romance mood after obviously watching the latest series of Bridgerton. So they are my picks for March. Obviously we will see if I succeed in completing my March TBR. I hope I do, because I've been doing quite well at my TBRs so far. So let me know what you are planning to read for March, and I will see you in my next video.